Think Institute, which is a transformational educational organization that is based in the Free State, with focusing on personal and business leadership. My name is Mkhabela, and I'm entrusted with the role to facilitate, to ensure that I take your questions and I bring them to the attention of our speaker. Without wasting any time, once upon a time, I was sitting, and then my eyes and my hands, they told us some magazine that I had to read through. So in this magazine, there was a gentleman who had written his story there. So he went from being having a comfortable lifestyle to experiencing a very, very luxurious lifestyle. But at the time of writing this, he was rebuilding because he had just came from a very, very bad knock. So I believe today's session is very crucial because I know the gentleman that is going to be sharing with us is not only going to be giving us what he read, but he's going to give us what he's doing, because he has seen it, he has fallen, and then he rebuilt it as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please bear with me as I welcome on the first ever online entrepreneurial summit 2020 to welcome Ntate Gavin Mkhabela.
Awa man nagpidile papa ka utlwa lo na man.
Awa kudu re hantle man.
We're good. No, thank you so much, man, for inviting me. Thank you so much.
No, we could not ignore the loud sound of your story. We could not ignore the impact of your story. We understand as entrepreneurs that another man's starting point is the end of another. So we need your story. We need to know, especially when we going through such a difficult time. I love even the title that you gave your presentation, How to Navigate Financially Through Storms. There's no better person like you who could do justice to that. Please pass that to us. Please pass that to us.
But yeah, it's good. All right. Yeah, so I think before I even start, thank you so much, Mr. Mtaung, for really affording me this opportunity to share the little that I know. And, you know, to everybody out there that is watching today, you know, thank you so much for tuning in. To all the speakers that have graced us with their presence. It has been absolutely, you know, incredible. You know, I've been catching up to some of the episodes that I haven't checked. I've been blown away. So to you, sir, you know, I always say that whatever seed that you're planting, may it just manifest into a beautiful and incredible flower, because it's really, you know, impacting positively in the lives of our people. We can only get stronger if we continue to, you know, to share whatever knowledge that we have. So thank you so much. May you keep on going. May God just bless you abundantly as with this vision. I see it. I see it. We are sold, sir. We are sold, you know. Cool. So I'll just share now. Please tell me if you can see. Okay, let me see that. Okay, I'm gonna share now. Can you guys see?
Yes, it's clear, sir. It's clear.
All right. Okay, cool. So yeah, so you know, just maybe to introduce myself. You know, whenever you get into a house, you need to introduce yourself. You know, and be able to, you know, observe protocol. So my name is Gavin Mkhabela. I am a property investment strategist. So on a daily basis, I sit with people that want to start investing in property, or already they have, you know, portfolios and they want to grow them. So I sit with them, they start buying, they buy some more. And I'm also an author, author of this amazing book called Financial Planning for What? And I'll be giving away a copy tonight, Mr. Mtaung, to anybody who you'll think of something, you know, that will do someone will get the copy mahala, and I'll also just give them an hour free session as well if they want to invest in property and all of that aspect, you know. So
wow, thank you, sir.
cool.
Thank you, sir.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, author of this book, it's incredible. I wrote this book when, life named trap, you know. I wrote it and then things just came to me, and it's been amazing how it's been received even today. It's 3 years old and it just keep on going. So it's very good in that respect. And I do a lot of stokvel consulting. So I'm passionate about stokvels, especially around property, you know, investing in assets. So that's what I do. And then I'm a blogger, so I do a lot of writing. You can check my social media spaces. There's a lot of writing that I do. And I also have a YouTube channel that, you know, it's also getting some traction there. So it's all about empowering. I also started a platform called Wealth Conversation, where in that, you know, in those webinars, we really talk about, you know, the ingredients that are needed to build wealth, and especially generational wealth. So you can also check that out as well. Now, before I get into the heart of my presentation today, if you would allow me, I want to do something different. And I hope there's nobody driving, you know, watching this. So you shouldn't be driving, that's right, you know, watching this. But everybody that is at home, I want you to, you know, to go with me on this journey right now. If there's bae cooking there, please let them know that they must just, you know, just turn it down a little bit, just for 5 minutes. The kids, just send them to the bedroom because you need to concentrate. So I want you to relax. So everybody else, you know, that is watching, can you please close your eyes? If you can close your eyes for me, you know, and just relax, and, you know, pretend that you're just relaxing, you know, forget about the invoices that are not paid. Forget about, you know, the client that was supposed to sign on the dotted line and is still giving you a runaround. So just relax a little bit. Now, I want you to imagine that you are in a boat, right? So you're in this boat. I want you to just observe, you know, in this boat. You're just an observer. So you are there, but you are observing. Now, I want you to picture this boat navigating through a stormy sea, right? So you can see the sea, the waves are high, you know, there's lightning, there's rain, it's dark. So you can feel the fear. So you can see everything right in this boat. Now I want you to imagine that there are 3 groups of people in this boat. So you can see them, 1, 2, 3, these 3 groups of people. Now remember that you're observing. So you're seeing all of these things. You are in the boat, but you're not in the boat. Now I want you to see the first group of people. So this first group of people, they're holding on to the boat. You know, it's going left, it's going right, it's going up. You know, there's fear, there's screaming all around. Now I want you to see this boat going to the left. And when this boat is going to the left, I want you to see the first group of people being washed off the boat. Now I want you to see them, you know, inside the sea. And then I want you to see a big wave, and they get swallowed by this wave, and we see them no more. So that's the first group of people. Then I want you to see the second group of people. Now this group of people, they're holding on to the boat. It's going up, it's going down, big waves, left, right, they're screaming for their lives. Now I want you to see the third group of people. Now this third group of people, now there's something strange about this third group of people. Now with one hand, they're holding on to the boat, right? So that they don't wash off the boat. But I want you to see that with the second hand, they're tossing the net into the sea, and they're trying to fish. And probably you're sitting there, you're thinking like these people are crazy, right? Now they could die, but now they're holding on, but they're still, you know, busy fishing. And, you know, with their legs, they're holding on to the container of fresh water. Now, I want you to then picture that this boat is now sailing comfortably, and then there's sunshine. And I want you to see the beautiful blue skies. Then I want you to see the beautiful sea, which is calm. And I want you to see the rejoicing of these two groups of people. They're dancing, they've made it, they're hugging, you know, and I want you to see that there's an island that is approaching, that we're approaching with this boat. It's a beautiful island. There's beautiful trees, tropical trees, there's beautiful white sand. And now they get to the island. So you can open your eyes. Right. So this is what we're going through right now. So we're going through a storm, okay? So now group 2 and 3, they get to the island. Now, who do you think is in a better position between group 2 and 3? Now, the third group, of course, right? Because now when these two groups were busy fighting for their lives, the third group, they were busy looking for opportunities. Now, they have now a net that is full of fish, and then they have a container that has fresh water. So to me, that is leveraging. Leveraging. So now in this moment when we're going through the storm, you need to be able to survive, right? So while you were holding on with one hand, you are surviving. So the survival is when now you pay your bills, right? You pay your employees, because without your employees, your business is not going well. You're paying for your medical aid because now we're on COVID-19. If something happens, you need to be able to go there, right? You're paying for your warehousing because without your warehousing, then your stock, where will it sit? So it's survival. So we are surviving. But now, on the other hand, we are now also building value. Because when you build value, you can be able to leverage. Okay. So now let's go back again to the three groups. So obviously, the first group of people, they didn't make it. Unfortunately, there are people that are not going to make it. It's just life. You know, life always has casualties. They're going to be washed off. We will never hear about them again. They are gone. Then the second group of people are the ones that are just going to make it. They're barely making it. And then these ones, they have built value. Now, let's say these two groups of people, now they're at the island. So when you get to the island, what needs to happen? There are certain needs that you need to fulfill. So the first need that's going to happen is that there's a need for food, right? Because we've been hungry. It's not as if when you are fighting for your life, you're thinking, oh, let me sit down and have some snack, right? You are fighting for your life. So now we are hungry. So we get to the island. Now people need to eat. So that's the first need. And then there's a second need, which is need for shelter, right? So now the third group of people, why they have power? Because they have fish, they have water. Now me as Gavin, I'm group 2. So of course now I'm hungry. Of course I'm thirsty. So now I need to rely on Thapelo to say, Thapelo, please, you know, can I drink some of your water? And then Thapelo says, no problem, my guy, but I can see that you're wearing shoes. You know, I always wanted Air Jordans. You know, I always wanted them. So now for the cup of water for you to drink, I want you to give me your shoes. Then I'll give you my worn-out shoes. Of course, it's a basic need that I need to fulfill. So I will then want to get that water and drink because I'm thirsty. If now I don't drink, I'm going to die. Right? So I'll give you my expensive sneakers so that you can wear them. Again, now Gavin says, Thapelo says, look, you need to go and fetch some wood so that we can fry this fish. But then Thapelo can then sit back because he has leveraging, he has power, right? Because he has something that Gavin needs, right? So then I can be able to run around to look for wood to light this, to start this fire. And then Gavin says again, yes, you need another fish because you still need to eat. So we need to build shelter. But I don't feel like going to the woods. You go, because now you'll be able to eat my fish. Leveraging, the power of leveraging. Now, yesterday I was speaking to a client of mine. He says, you know what, Gavin, if there's one word that I need to take out from you is leveraging. The way you talk about leveraging is like you talk about it every day. But it's because I understand the power of leveraging. When you have something of value, you are able to get people, you know, to be able to do whatever you want so that they can be able to benefit from this. Now, I know you're sitting there and say, but Gavin, how do you bring it to life? Okay, where do we start with this leveraging? Now, the leveraging, when we talk about value, firstly, it starts with you. okay? It starts with you, what you're doing. So by the virtue of you watching this, is that you're building value because you're gaining knowledge. You know, you're building from that. Then when you do that, you read books. From there, you attend seminars. From there, you get a coach. So that's where you build the value, right? So you start with you. From a business point of view, I talk about being future compliant. So this is where now you say, okay, this is the future. COVID is now proving to us that there are certain things that you are doing that will be obsolete. Now, they're not going to exist. The other day, I was blogging, I was talking about you cannot expect to fit in a TDK cassette in a USB slot. It's not going to happen because that time is gone. The TDK era is gone. We're now on the USB slot. Even that is now fading away because you can now even transfer music by just holding two phones together, right? So already showing you where we are going. So you always need to be able to build value for the current circumstance or for the current environment, which is very, very important, okay? Now, again, you go to church, the pastor is preaching this nice message and you say, Baba, give me the verse. So I'm gonna give you the verse right now, okay? So what you need to be doing, which is practical, that will be benefiting you to go forward. So right now, I'm gonna be talking about the 4 financial principles, which are very, very important. Let me just do this a little bit, okay? So the 4 financial principles. Now, according to me, the way we sell financial literacy in this country is flawed. And I've said it, I'm saying it again, it is flawed because how we sell financial literacy, we're basing it on the fact of, you know, savings becomes the drive. I don't know if you have seen that anybody that is diligent at saving will say they are financially safe. For me, that is flawed, okay? Because I don't know if you go to the Forbes magazine, if you ever find a billionaire that is listed there, and when you see the source of income, it says saving. It's absolutely, it's not gonna happen. It's not there, right? So for me, these 4 financial principles are the ones that we need to be teaching our people about so that they can be able to be financially intelligent, which I'm gonna touch on. Okay, so now the first one, we're talking about financial structuring. The second one, we talk about financial discipline. The third one, we talk about financial growth. And then the fourth one, we talk about financial intelligence. Now, even if you go to the dictionary to go and look for the financial intelligence, it's not gonna come out the way I'm gonna describe it today. So now let's start with financial structuring. Now this starts with cash flow. So cash flow is very important. It's either it kills you, it's either it makes you, or it breaks you, right? So it's very important for us to be able to manage our cash flows very, very, very diligently. Now, the first thing that you need to be able to do is to understand what is your income or understand your incomes, all right? So a lot of us, we don't even know how much comes into our businesses, which is a problem on its own because you cannot plan if you don't know what's going on in your business. So you need to know what is the income or the incomes that are coming in your businesses. Then the second one is that you need to understand your fixed costs, your fixed expenses. So these are ones the costs that you are, the expenses that you are paying for on a monthly basis, all right? And then once that you subtract your expenses against your income, then hopefully you have a surplus. If you have a deficit, now that's a story for another day. So now for today, we're gonna work with the surplus. Now what needs to happen with the surplus is that firstly, you need to save, right? So you need to save. So this is liquidity. You need to be liquid. Whether it's personal finance, whether it's business finance, you always need to save. Because now again, today I was talking about the fact that, you know, emergencies don't have dress rehearsal. They don't tell you that they're gonna come. COVID-19, it did not tell us that it was coming. You saw it one day, you could go to the park, the other day you couldn't go to a park. So emergencies, they just come, all right? So we need to be able to prepare for them. So savings does that. Now, unfortunately, we've been sold this whole picture of savings and investment being the same thing. It is not the same thing. You know, savings is not a money growing thing. It's just money that you put away for rainy days. Now, Jack Ma says you cannot build, you cannot fix your roof, you know, when it's raining, the heavy rain is coming, right? You fix your roof when the sun shines. then you'll be able to fix the roof. So with the savings, that's what you do. Now, the second one is investments. So this is where you invest. So you put in something with the expectation to get something back, all right? So this could be the buying shares. This could be, a platform of Bitcoins, whatever it is, or investing in some business, buying into some business, whatever it is that you put something, you're expecting something in return, all right? And then the third one is opportunity allowance. Now, opportunity allowance speaks to money that you are spending on a monthly basis. So this is around personal development. This is around business development, right? This could be around getting a coach. This would be around buying a book. This could be, attending a seminar that you need to pay for. This could be, so many things that are creating you or developing you to be future compliant. Because again, we understand that there's things like artificial intelligence. We understand that there's now industrialization, right? Things are moving. The question is, are you moving along, right? The other day, the more I think about my industry, I need to be thinking. There's banks now who are now trying to bring in sellers and buyers, in essence, cutting out your agents. What does it say to me is that the content that I'm creating needs to now be viable, because now that cannot take away, my value, right? So you need to now to look at what your industry is looking like. You are in accounting space, right? How do you make accounting accessible and futuristic in that manner? So you need to be looking at 2 years from now. You need to be looking for 5 years from now. But all of these things, they require money. They require money and investment. A lot of the people become stagnant because they don't want to invest. You don't want to be investing in your future, in the business future, which then becomes a problem. And then the last one, from a personal finance point of view, entertainment is one of the biggest whole creators in our finances. I can tell you now, if you go and draw down your statement, you look at the takeaways that you buy, you look at the data that you buy, which doesn't actually return anything. I was spending so much money on data, and I was asking myself, but I'm just chilling on Facebook, I'm doing nothing. Let me use this data that I spend so much to make me money. So now I know that, okay, I'm spending 1,000, but I got 10,000 back, from that 1,000 that I've spent. So you need to be able to check what you are spending money on. If there's any ladies in the house, I know that if you go to your closet right now and look at the clothes that you have, that you bought on sale, that you don't wear, entertainment, right? Because you don't have a limit. If you don't have a limit, what do? Your mind wanders. It tells you to spend until there is nothing, right? So that is why I then came up with the 2-account system in the book. I write about it. It's a 2-account system. So what you do then, because I had that problem, to say, but I'm budgeting, it makes sense. But 3 weeks down the line, I need to ask people for petrol. I need to ask people for money. But my income outweighs my expenses. What's going on, right? So then I realized that entertainment is a big issue there. So what then you do with the 2-account system is that you have 2 transactional accounts, right? So the one account is where the income comes in, your expenses, your fixed expenses go. And then the second one is your entertainment account. So your entertainment account, this is the one that houses your money. So if you blow it, it's okay, right? But now you need to have a limit here, right? To say, okay, I'll spend 2,000 a month on my entertainment. It's my me money, because I work very hard. Of course, I need to spoil myself. Yesterday, I was listening to, Mr. Mlim was talking, I wanted to spoil myself. You still need to spoil yourself because you work very hard, okay? But you need to spoil yourself within reason. You need to spoil yourself within a limit. So what you then do is that you load a stop order. For some of us who are old, I call it a stop order, right? Or a scheduled payment. So you load a scheduled payment in your main account. So let's say you pay yourself a salary on the 25th, you will then load a scheduled payment on the 25th, and it will go automatically to the second account. Because if you do it manually, it does not work. Unless if you're super disciplined, which I'm not. So it just goes off. Then I know that I have my money. Like the people that are married, and you'll find that the wife controls the money. It says, I will give you a pocket money of 2,000 a month. Yes, you also do that. You give yourself a pocket money for for that month, you know, so it's wonderful, it's great. Then you know that within the account, the only amount that should be left really, it will be, you know, for bank charges, because you know that your savings is gone. The 500 is gone for savings, your investments, 2,000 is gone. The opportunity allowance, you put it in a pocket account because you need to use that. So you say that on a monthly basis, I need to spend this for 300 every month. You know, I used to make an example when I started with this opportunity allowance. I said, now, if there was this big somebody coming, like you idolize this guy, you know, within your industry, and you see the poster, you know, it's coming. What is the first thing that you will look at? It's the investment. You know, that part that says investment with the cost. And then when you see 300, what do you do? 300. Even if you have the 300, you know, but if now you are subconsciously aware, you are intentional about it, because you do have this 300 Rand that you've put aside for something like this, do you think then you'll have a problem to take it out? Of course not, because it's something that you should do, that you want to do. And that is why it's very important. So now when we talk about financial structuring, those are the 4 things that are very important. Savings, investments, opportunity allowance, and your entertainment account. Now then we come to the second one, which is financial discipline, all right? Now it really doesn't make sense to have a good plan and not be consistent and disciplined. So you need to be disciplined. It's just like we go to the gym, you can have the best, gym trainer you can ever have, but if you don't follow what he's saying and you're not consistent on that, it's not going to work, all right? And then the third one is financial growth. Now, I want to tell you something which, you know, one time it just blew my mind. And I was listening to a lady who said, you know, sometimes as business owners or entrepreneurs, we don't realize that we're still human, right? And we still have a personal life. And then on a personal level, you still need to have certain things like a multiple income stream. Somehow, when we get into business, we feel that our business must just be a source of income. It must be the only source of income. Now, that's why you'll see some, you know, business owners, this person is a doctor, you know, he's running a practice or she's running a practice, but she's selling Herbalife, right? Because they understand that you need to be able, your income need to outpace your expenses. Because here's the truth, your expenses become more expensive each and every year. I think there's inflation. So the inflation goes up and up. I was saying the other day to say, you know what, we were so excited about the interest rate, right? The banks and all of that. But I then said, I think it was last month, to say, you know, Father Christmas is going to come back for his present. And of course, now you're seeing it, because Father Christmas now says, but you know those payment holidays, Mchan? No, they're over. So I want my stuff. I want my money, or I want to take stuff, right? So it's gone. So people were now relaxed. I said, don't be relaxed. When my clients, when they came, it's like, Gavin, now at least I'm going to take a breather and say, now you work even harder, right? Don't relax, because once you relax, I can assure you Father Christmas is going to come back for his present. Because you know what the banks do is that they saw that happening, right? So they couldn't be heartless, because obviously it's a reputation. Remember, it's the reputational management. So they needed to be seen as if they sympathize with people. So then they came up with this, look, they send you the SMSs, don't worry about anything, we'll give you a payment holiday. Now are you getting those SMSs now to say, but are you still okay? You know, can you still manage it? Now we want it. We want our money. You need to start paying, right? It's over now, because lockdown is over. We're going back now slowly to nominal, to the normal state where we were. So it's over. They want their Christmas present. So you need to be able to make sure that your income always outpaces your expenses. In business, it's crucial, right? To make sure that we are making more money than our expenses. Because if that's the case, unless of course you are in a tech space where, you know, the valuations are crazy, people can just pump in money expecting with the hope that, you know, this business is going to be profitable in the next future. But if now me and you are just running, you know, our small anyana, okay, not small anyana, I don't use small anyana anymore, but we're running these businesses, you know, we need to be able to make sure that, you know, we are able to diversify. We are able to diversify. I'm not saying that you need to be able to get out of what you're doing, but within the space that you are in, look at ways that you can be able to stretch their income opportunities, right? Stretch it. A lot of people are in the entertainment industry. A lot of them, they're not doing business right now. Why? Because they told themselves that to make money, people need to be physically there. But those who say, no, but look, we don't know when this lockdown is going to end. What if it ends in January? Does it mean my business is going to die? Hell no. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do virtual events. Then they start to charge. But now you cannot do all of those things if you don't create value. It is not going to happen. You need to create value so that people want to buy from you. People want to pay you for that, you know. And it's difficult as it is, but once you get into that mode, you're going to be okay. So this is financial growth. You need to be able to outpace. Remember, your income needs to always outpace your expenses all the time. And then the last one is financial intelligence. Now, I spoke about OPM. So that is using other people's money, right? It's just like going to the bank. So let me give you an example of, you know, property, how it works in a true sense. So let's say now you have property, you buy a property of, let's say 100,000, okay? So this property is 100,000, you go to the bank to go for, get a bond for 100,000. Now within that, you then get a tenant that is paying for that bond. Now 2 years later, that property is now worth 200,000, okay? And then you go to the bank and say, bank, when I bought this property, it was 100,000. Now it's 200,000. So now I want to refinance the 100,000 value appreciation. So meaning that I want that. I want you to give me that 100,000. Then the bank says, okay, cool, you qualify, I'll give you the 100,000. Then you take this 100,000, you go and buy another property, which is worth 100,000, you buy it cash, all right? You now have a tenant. So remember that your first bond was sitting at 100,000, but because now you're able to refinance, now it means your bond is now 200,000, okay? Now you have two tenants paying for these bonds. Now, how much did you put in to have two properties with one paid up? Nothing, right? You didn't pump in anything. You didn't save 100,000 to get 100,000. And that is the power of leveraging. You are using other people's money to make money. You go and buy a machinery, right? You get an investor to invest in that, to give you that money to buy that machinery. You're getting 200,000 profit. And now you take 50,000, you pay the investor, and then you're pocketing 200,000. Did you put in anything to get to buy that machine? Nothing. Power of leveraging. Now, to extend on that, I want to talk about asset protection just a little bit, if you would allow me, Mr. Mtawu. You know, the asset protection is also absolutely incredible, because what's happening now, I don't know if you know the notion of the Ntotsamuntu Diamlade. You know, isn't those a right? So yes. It's because we don't understand asset protection, and especially when it comes to business owners, right? Is that we in a rush, we're buying stuff, but the way we protect it, we don't know that we need to protect them. Now, remember that when you buy assets, now I'm talking about strategic assets that grow in value, or the potential in growing value and have a potential of providing you income, is that firstly, the first thing that you need to look at is tax, right? Because the more income I get, which is then the profit, the more tax I'm paying. That's the first thing. The second thing that I am looking at is the risk against creditors. Now, a lot of people right now are losing stuff, right? Now, the third one is my personal estate. What happens to my personal estate when I die? Now, when we buy assets, most of the time, we buy them in our personal capacities, all right? Which now we have the three challenges that we're going to have. So it's the tax, the personal credit, the risk against personal creditors, and your personal estate. Now, let me touch on personal estate a little bit, because this is where I see a lot of people get shocked when we talk about it. What happens when you die? Now, the first thing that is going to happen is that there's going to be a calculation of your personal estate. So they're going to look at what are your assets, you're going to look at what are your liabilities. So who are you owing and what are you owning? All right. Now, let's say your personal estate is sitting at 30 million. Out of this 30 million, let's say 20 million of that, these are liabilities. So these are people that you owe money to. These are creditors. And then let's say now out of the 10 million is the assets. So you're owning these assets. Now, the second step out of that is that Tumamina says to you that the first 3.5 million of that 10 million is not going to tax. All right. So it will be exempted from tax. Now, the 6.5 that is remaining is going to be taxed at 20%. So that will be your estate duty currently. All right. It's gone before your Nunu berries get anything, before your wives get anything. All right. And then the second thing that will gonna come out there is the executor's fees. Now, I don't know how many, I think 98% of the people that I talk to on a daily basis don't have wills. That's a story for another day. But anyway, so within the will aspect, there's two parts to it. So you have the free one, you know, that one the bank says, yeah, when you're alive, but your kids are gonna pay for that, all right? And then the second one is where now you can be able to have some sort of insurance that will waive the fees when you pass on. Because when you take the free one, your estate, when you pass on, is gonna pay for those fees. Now, those fees are currently 4.025%. Now, they're not gonna charge it on the 10 million, they're gonna charge it on the 20 million, on the entire 30 million, which is the gross value of the estate. Now, you can do the calculation now. You know, take 4.025% of 30 million and take 20% of 6.5 million. It's gone, right? Gone. And now one thing that you should know is that SARS and the executor are what we call preferred creditors. They get paid first before anybody else gets paid, right? They make that money first. And then the last one will then be possible capital gains tax. So let's say on the 10 million of assets that you have, you bought them at 5 million. Now there has been a 5 million capital appreciation. That is gonna then be taxed anything between 13% to 18%. Again, this is SARS, preferred creditor, it's gone. Now, I emphasize that because it seems like it's not changing. It's been going on with our parents, it's now happening with us, you know? So I'm saying these things because I want us to change our perspective. You know, I've created that wealth conversation platform so that we start talking about these things because now it is not changing. Our narrative is not changing because we cannot protect our assets. Now, what are the ways that you can then be able to buy these quickly is that you can use a company and then you can marry it with a trust. Now, a lot of people say, but what is this trust? I know this is a bad example, but I'm going to say it. But you know Togolosh, the small Togolosh, the little man, you know, so the little man, if now you tuma it to the next door, you say, go to next door and do funny things. And then if they catch it next door, you know, and then they say, Mikey, they call you, Mikey, we find this thing. You don't know it, right? And then you just say, when you go there, Togolosh, you don't know me. And the Togolosh won't know you, right? So that's exactly what the trust is. You know, when you need it, you need it. But when people come after it, it's anything that lies in the trust, it is not yours. You know, it belongs to the trust. So that's what you do, because from a protection part of it, it will protect your assets. So then you can use that as a shareholder in the company. So the trust becomes a shareholder. And then within that company, you can buy your assets. All right. So then, you know, from a tax point of view, you pay the 28% company tax. And then from a risk point of view, you know that the creditors can't come after an asset that belongs to the trust, because technically it will belong to the trust. So that is your asset protection. So this also speaks to generational wealth. So when we talk about financial intelligence, it's not only about acquiring these strategic assets, but it's also about preserving them so that we can then pass them on to the next generation. Now, I hope that, you know, whatever that I've shared today, you know, really, you know, bring some sense into, you know, or some clearer picture in terms of what is going on now. And then you can be able, you know, to really make some changes if you have to make some changes. And yeah, and we're hoping that, you know, you're gonna navigate, you're gonna be part of the third group of people that have made it, but they also have built up something of value that they can be able to leverage against.
Wow, wow. Mkhabela, thank you very much, sir. I guess our tongues, they seems to be taking the same level. So
Yeah.
my questions would be endless to you, but
Yeah.
I'm going to try to discipline myself.
Yeah.
Look, I love the story, how you began and how you show liberation as a winning tool. But now you're speaking to me as someone who's in the middle of so many debts.
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw one scenario with two questions.
Yeah.
How crucial is it that I get to understand the free cash flow of whether my income as a salary or as a business before I could commit to any creditors?
Yeah.
Two, why is it so simple, or there's a tendency of when we have to commit to creditors, we always look at the overall salary or income, not focus on the free cash flow of it?
Okay. So yeah, so I think the first important thing is that somebody that is going through really hectic times right now. So you have debt, and cash, obviously not making income. What I normally say is that you need to firstly understand the credit that you have, so the debts that you have, and then you need to firstly find out if you don't have what we call credit insurance. So credit insurance speaks to the fact that some of these debts you pay for the insurance every month, and then if things like your COVID-19, your income is affected, then it can be able to cover you for a couple of months. But some of them you can defer. So there are certain things that you can defer. All right. So for example, you have like maybe your credit card. You can be able to say, look, I'll pay you in the next 3 months. But you need to then look at your immediate need. That is why I'm going back to the story now to say, what is my immediate need? I need shelter, right? I need to be able to have food on my table. I need to, from a business point of view, you need to make an income. So to make an income, there are certain things that you need to do, right? So you need to be able to have those funds so that you can be able, right, to make money and be able to pay your creditors. But I think what also is key, there's not double up in many cases, right? There's not double up. Because sometimes a lot of people come to me and say, Gavin, I have all of these big debts. What do I need to do? As if there's a miracle that you're going to do, right? Now, one simple question, one simple answer or solution that I always have is make more money. Make more money. Like, we can sugarcoat it and try and but we're thinking like you need to make more money. Find a way to make more money, right? And this again speaks to multiple income streams, right? It speaks to, and I'm gonna go now into businesses, that one of the things I think a lot of us we lack is to set targets for ourselves. To say, I made 100,000, I can make 200,000. And then we limit ourselves to a certain bracket. But if now you start to expand your knowledge, remember again, your income is also driven by value, right? So the more value you have, it's not like I wake up in the morning, every morning, and I push content is yes to empower, but I need to make money out of it. Because the more people see the value, the more people think now, this person is an expert, and I need to be able to pay him whatever that he wants so that I can gain this valuable value that he has, So there is no magic. There is no magic because now let's go back to the second group. It's just surviving. You cannot just survive. You can't. It just does not work. There's a lot of people that are 2 paychecks away from poverty. We are surviving. You can't. You need to be able to say, I need to be doing exceedingly, because when I do exceedingly, then there's abundance. When there's abundance, then I'm all good. All right. So there's no other way. Yes, structure your finances, sit down with somebody that can say, okay, let's look at which are the major expenses that you can defer or you need to be able to pay. Because I remember others that would come and say, Gavin, do I pay off my car because you got this retrenchment money? Now let me pay off my car so that it will look. And then I'm saying, but income, right? So rather than maybe pay them for a month or 2 months, and then with the other money, go and buy stock and sell. You understand? Because there's always need to be income coming in.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, just for clarity purposes, when we speak about free cash flow, we're speaking about if I'm earning 10 rand, then my monthly expenses are 8 rand. It means every month I have 2 rand that I'm not using. That 2 rand is a free cash flow. That if I run a business that makes 20,000 and my monthly expenses as a business is 15,000, that 5,000 it's a business free cash flow. So if you commit, you can only commit to the extent of your free cash flow. You can't commit beyond that. You touched into a very crucial point, Mkhabela, the payment holiday, which everyone took it as like Father Christmas came so early. But they could not understand the cost of delay, the cost of taking a decision to delay the payment, because the rent was down. It means that the cost of rent, if it's down, we pay less. But now, after 3 months, when you're supposed to pay back, the rent goes up. You have to pay more. So how crucial is it for one, especially when I'm trying to come to a point of setting myself for financial freedom, to be able to know the cost of paying early and the cost of paying late?
Yeah. So look, I think it is always important to distinguish two things. So when we talk about, I'll firstly touch on mostly on investing. And I will touch on things like on from a property investing side of things so that, it is more simpler. Whenever I sit down with the client and we look at obviously the cash flow aspect of investing in property and we go to the bank, I normally go for the maximum loan term. All right. So if we can get 30 years, we get 30 years. So a lot of the times people thought I was crazy when I was doing that, to say, but the first thing is like, Gavin, because if it's 30 years, it means I'm paying longer, so I want to pay quickly. I'm like, but that's not objective. So when you're investing in property, the idea is not to get to year 30, it's not even to get to year 20, right? I normally work on 10 years. So now when you now pay, because now the term is longer, it means I'm paying less, right? So what you then do is that instead of paying 2,000 on the 30-year loan, is that you pay 3,000. And then within the bond, you can have what we call a flexi account or a call account. So now the additional amount, it goes into the call account. So what it does, it works in two ways. So the one way is that right now, a lot of my clients are okay because they've built up reserves in the bond. So because now some of the properties we had to reduce the rentals to accommodate the tenants, then they can be able to use those reserves to cover that. The other one is to take advantage of opportunities because you've built in that value. Now you see a property, but it wants bond costs and transfer costs, and you don't have that, but you've built in value, so you will have that, right? And then when the interest rate was going down, they kept it where they were paying, so they didn't reduce it. So that again is double reserves, okay? So then it helps you in that regard because then you are able to build faster, you're able to build more because you are liquid. Now, if it's not for investment, of course there, additional payments, but again, it's also very important to understand when to pay more and when to pay what you're supposed to pay. Because if you look at things like a car, it's depreciating. So for me to like, I want to pay fast so that I can finish paying off this car, which in a couple of years, it will be worth less than nothing, then it doesn't make sense. Unless if it's an asset that has potential or the potential of growing in value, then you can do that, So there's certain things that you can be able to pay fast. Yes, if now it's a primary home, you want to pay off this bond quickly, then you can do that. It's an asset, it appreciates in value. But things like a car, like the BMW, 2000, it's out of fashion anyway. So,
Mkhabela, ladies and gentlemen, this is a once opportunity that you get without Mkhabela having to invoice you for his voice. Please ask questions. I want to ask you something, Mkhabela. There is this notion in our society that when the money, especially looking at financial discipline, when money is in the bank, it's better than if I have liquid banking. When I have money in my hands, I become more disciplined. Does it work?
You know, I think the biggest part of that is really around, you know, money is money. Money is money, but it depends what you do with the money. So even if you can sit with, let's say you sit with $1 million in the bank. So you're excited that you have $1 million in the bank. And then probably, let's say you're getting 6% out of that. You know? So if I take out this $1 million and then I chow it, it's gone. So the idea there is to say, if you create, remember it's an understanding, right? We create an understanding when we start to build value. And I'm going to say, like, probably, you know, even when you see my picture, like, oh, there's that value guy, right? So it's to build value, because when you buy things that are strategic, they're assets, you know, they work for you. So the problem that we have in Tadamtao is that, you know, we've been taught so much to work for stuff, you know, save, you know, save a lot of money. Even my mom today still says, yo, save. You know, if you tell them we bought a machine, it'll offer 30,000. Yeah, but save. You understand? It's more savings. But we're fighting inflation, right? You're fighting inflation. And then, you know, you don't have something that you can barter with. I'll go back to the old ways, the bartering. Because when you have something that you can barter with, I go back to the story at fish. I want the MJ style, and then I'll give you one fish because you are hungry. Right? So that's the idea that we need to be migrating to. And when we start talking about generational wealth, the first part of it is knowledge. You know, if we can transfer knowledge, then it will be good, because one of the things that is killing our communities is that we are now passing on material things, right? You give your child a life cover at 10 million, but they don't have an understanding. What do you think is going to happen to the 10 million? They're going to blow it. All right. So just having money, it's not, it's something, but not really, you know, really, really important.
You tapped into a very crucial point about using other people's money through the bank. My level of understanding as a business consultant is that there is two things that are very key before the bank can borrow you money. They look at the value of your assets, and they look at the future value of your free cash flow before they can qualify you. So how crucial is it for one to be able to at least minimize, whether it's personal, whether it's business, let me say for the first few years of their life, as they working on building a financial freedom, to be able to minimize their expenses while also investing in properties. We have, for instance, people who are staying in their houses that are valued at more than 500,000. But those houses are not doing anything for them. They have title deeds. That's all. They just go there, sleep, and wake up. But if they could see things in a different perspective, that title deed, hell, it carries a lot of money.
It does, I mean, it does, and I think it's one of the things that, you know, we've been programmed, especially if you look at us guys, when they tell you dry, and you know, when you have that title deed, they come and slaughter a cow, and then they say, welcome to manhood, you know. So, but it's because, you know, we've painted, you know, banks as these monsters, which, you know, because we don't know how to use them. But again, it's more of, you know, expenses are expenses. It just depends on what they are. You know, there's certain things that you cannot bypass. You cannot bypass buying food. You know, it's a fixed expense that you one needs to have. But it will depend on the type of food that you buy. You know, so the people that would buy funny, like things that they shouldn't be buying, right? So it's part of their expenses. So it is important to always manage your cash flow accordingly. So to look at do I really need this thing? You know, do I really need to buy this? Do I really need to buy this car? You know, we're not saying that you don't need to splash, you know, but make sure that when you splash in, you know, you at least have assets, you know, something, you know, then you can eat your money nicely. Because for me, it's to go and buy a BMW 7 Series and then go and rent or take a 10,000 and I don't have anything. And that's the thing that is killing us. It's killing us because that is why you're gonna see now Samaya we buy cars in the next 2 months.
There's a question for you, Mkhabela here. Yes. From Jason. He's saying, good evening, sir. I have a paid up property that is valued at 700K. How can I use it to go into property business?
Okay. So of course, it will be more of trying to understand for you. Firstly, do you work? So you have a source of income. Because then what will happen is that we can refinance that property. So we can take some of the money there and then go and buy another property cash, you know. So, but obviously when you're refinancing, the bank will want to see some sort of source of income. So if you're a business owner, they will want to see your financials and see that, you know, your business is, you know, healthy, there's income coming in, and then they can grant you that, you know, refinancing. So technically what will happen is that, okay, cool, Jason has this 700,000 because that's capital. So Jason is sitting with capital, you know, that is sitting on a daily basis. So then he can be able to say, okay, bank, let's say he says, bank, can you please give me 400,000 against my property, right? And then the bank says, all right, we do the assessments and then everything. Then they give him the refinancing. So when they refinance you, so meaning that there is a bond now in Jason's first property of 400,000. So it was paid up. So now there's 400,000 debt. So then Jason can take that 400,000 even if he wants, and then he can buy another property cash. And then there will be a tenant in the second property, which will then pay for the 400,000 squalor. All right? Because now Jason will then have two properties. So this is just obviously a simple scenario so that, you know, you have some sort of an understanding of how refinancing works. So you're putting debt on that property. And one thing that I always say is that when you're sitting with a paid up property, I say that it's like holding a loaded gun that you're busy playing with it, you might shoot yourself with. Because if you get into trouble with a personal creditor, they can come after that property. And remember that it is pure capital because it's paid up. Now, I know a lot of people say, but no, I'm okay, I don't have debt. And then I say that it takes one incident for you to have a creditor for life, where you get into an accident, you get, you know, you're broken and all of that, and your medical aid does not pay. And then all of a sudden you have a hospital bill of hundreds and thousands. They will come after that property.
Mkhabela, all in the name of financial freedom. We see our fellow brothers, our sisters, our mothers, our fathers, our granny, abomkulu, getting into these dodgy Ponzi schemes, you know, where they put money. Like in my building where I operate from, there were guys who came, they spent 6 months before COVID-19. Hey, people had invested for 20G, kanjalo. And they just vanish from the surface of the earth. Would you say such an appetite, it's driven by, we know financial freedom, we know that we need it, but are we that lazy to be patient and build up our capacity and mind to be able to produce at the level of the freedom that we want to experience?
Unfortunately, that's the case. And I think the media as well has really, you know, played its part very nicely there, especially when it comes to, you know, Black people. I'm sorry to obviously rationalize it, but it's the truth. Because if you look at the content that you see on TV, things like Abo Mamkize, you know, You look at that, I'm young, I'm looking at that to say, and then now Malum Tapelo tells me that I must go and sell tomatoes, build up to go to a fruit and veg. Like, it's not going to happen. You understand? So what's selling the most in our communities is instant things. We see all these people that on TV and we think they've made it or they just got there, but we don't see that Somizi used to go for auditions and he would be rejected. We don't see that Shimza is practicing every day to craft his DJ skills. So it's all the TV that shows you the glamour, but we don't see everything behind it. And I think it's time that we are truthful about what's going on in our lives. That is why tomorrow, well, Thursday, we are having that post-retrenchment webinar, is to say that, these are the things that are going on. You've been retrenched, but you can get up and be okay again, Then we need to be frank. We need to speak truth to what is going on, rather than just come out like, I come to this platform and then I say, yo, everything is great. I'm grinding. It's tough. Wake up in the morning and you need to post something. You need to write about it. You need to think about it. I could be sleepy. It's like But it's all there to say, let us share. Obviously the heartache that we go through, but let's also celebrate the successes as well. But yeah, it's just what is being painted out there.
Wow, more questions for you. All right. That day, Joseph Louis, Coach Gavin, sure, I like what you said about the trust. My question: how do a calm mind when this investment seems to be going bad, especially with what happened to oil prices at the start of COVID-19?
Yeah. So look, I think on that aspect, and I deal with that question every day, obviously from a property point of view. Now, one thing I can say is that firstly, if people can just take this down, there's a movie called 99 Homes. So if you think of getting to property, even I think business-wise, it's also a good movie to watch. It's called 99 Homes, so 99 Homes, and it's based on the 2008 house crash in the US. So I'm not going to just go into it that much, so that you can just watch it and see what's going on. But for me, the best time to invest, it's when there's a crisis, because whenever you get in, when the market is good, you're going to pay prime for whatever that you're investing in. So if you look at things like your Sasols and all of that, so it doesn't mean that there is no more value in a company. The value is still there. It's just that because of the market conditions, you see the share prices go down. I mean, Capitec is Capitec. MTN is MTN. There's a need for that. So it's just that because the market conditions dictate otherwise, then you see the prices going down. So this is where you start to get in. But you also need to be strategic as well. So a lot of my clients, I educate them, about a lot of things, because it's not just looking one side, property only. I look at a wider spectrum of things. And some of them now come and say, Gav, when we started talking, and then I invested in Zoom. I bought the shares of Zoom. Now Zoom is like your normal thing, right? So again, it's those kind of things. But when you would have thought of Zoom a year ago, 2 years ago, not really, So it's all about, and it's a strategy. So when I do property, I strategize. So one of the things that I just finished the consultation before we went live, and obviously the client was just asking me a lot of things, and say, what? Right now, one of the things that I'm busy doing a research on and now trying to understand is to understand the tenant. Because before, a tenant was a means to an end. But now, the tenant needs to be your business partner. So you need to be able to understand things like inflation. Because inflation, if it goes up, it means that disposable income goes down, which then affects you, right? You need to now understand what's going on in their lives, because then you can start to pick up things very early. To say, okay, this has been a good client, but now he's missed the payment by a day. Now I need to start being, alarmed now to say, okay, what do I need to do? Let's have now a much broader conversation. So it's all about strategy, guys. It's a strategy thing. The people that are going to make it are people that are going to come up with a strategy. So unfortunately, I know that, when we talk property investing, there's just so many things and people get excited, but they are not realistic at times, especially now, because you have to say, things are, I'm speaking frank, things are going to still get bad. It's going to be tough. But the people that are going to make it are people that are strategic. In all our businesses, it's going to get tough. But the ones that have built value, the ones that have branded themselves, the ones that are strategic in how they do things are the ones that are going to be better off.
No.
So it's all about strategy.
Without stepping in anyone's toes, there are these people who always seems to be in the business of inboxing us on Facebook. Okay? And these people, every time they have 2 or 3 pictures.
With the cars.
There's a big car. There's
and
Louis Vuitton. And every time these people look, they will always try to ask you. I see now they've also moved to LinkedIn. Yeah. They want to put us to Bitcoins. They want to put us to different things. How legit are those businesses? Because I think a lot of people, they see Mkhabela and they start getting mixed up with all of these things.
Yeah. So look, blockchain it's real. It's another form of investment. Cryptocurrency, it's another form of investment. It's so unfortunate that, like with anything, even in property, you get people that scam people. Now we see property stock sales ballooning all over. Well, it's just that now it's more of, COVID-19, but you'll see it all over the place and people get scammed out of it. So I think the most important thing is to always, understand where the source is. Go back to the source. If something is too good to be true, it probably is. Because I cannot sit here and tell you, look, you're going to be a millionaire tomorrow with property, or with any other investments. It's taking time, so make sure that you research. Instant noodles, it's a problem. So people just want instant stuff, and that's going to be a problem. So so make sure that you really dig down and see what is really going on, because all these things are legit. Cryptocurrency is a legit thing. Blockchain is a legit thing. So it's just that you just have these elements that have seen, a loophole to get in because people want, easy cash.
Tell us about Gavin Simmons.
Yeah, man. So, so I think it's just one of those things where, really this period, you need to reinvent yourself. You have to be thinking how to, just to brand yourself in a certain way. And for me, I felt that, I started doing them jokingly, and I saw people were starting to inbox me and say, yo, you've been saying this. And it's now a form of communication as well, to educate people around, obviously, the things that I talk about and the things that I do. And, I'm just growing it as I go, because it's just, getting more and more where people like, wow, you talked about, like today I talked about emergencies, and like you talked about this. The other day you talked about something that I'm going through, and, so yeah, it's just all about in the name of content, just building that content and really empowering people in the same breath.
Say, what are you currently offering in terms of your services to SME or to individuals who wants to navigate financially through difficult times? I see that already there's a number, there's social media likes. So what services can you offer?
Yeah, so look, there's a number of things. So I think one of them is really around property. The other one is, people that will say, okay, look at from a personal finance point of view, because I was a financial advisor before, and I then became a financial coach. So it's sort of mixed two things at once, which is I'm able to understand a couple of things. So yeah, so they can be able to do that from a coaching aspect point of view. And then yeah, through the contents that I have, I also have a lot of stokvels that I'm working with, which I also encourage as business owners. We can also come together to start, investing together, because it doesn't necessarily be, just around property. We can look at other things as well through that to say, okay, how do we partner in that process? And then through Stokvel Inc. is where really we do a lot of consulting with, the Stokvels there to say, okay, what are the things that you would need, like your constitutions and all of that. And then we look at how you can diversify into other things. So yeah, it's just that some of it you'll see as I go, just unpacking as as we just proceeding to say, okay, these are the things that I'm doing. So they just need to be on the lookout for on the social spaces to see what exactly I do. But they can just give me a call, send me a WhatsApp, and just to say, okay, I need assistance with this, and then how can you help me?
Wow. Sir, on behalf of Mind Think Institute team, on behalf of all the attendees, I just want to thank you very much for taking your hour to be with us. But I'm not yet closing. Like you started differently, I want us to close differently.
Yeah.
You are one of the gentlemen that had to go through the toughest way to build yourself, and your experience, you turned it to become a business. So
yeah,
I'm not sure how personal is it, but I would love so that the audience can understand why we had to invite you to come and speak about the subject. Can you, while sharing your story, to give two with the people who might be going through what you went through?
I didn't hear you on the last part, Madam.
All right, I was saying, while you sharing your story about when you went down,
I
would love you to leave us with two takeaways that you think can work for us, for that person who might be going through what you went through that time.
Yeah. Okay. So I think maybe just to give a little context. So I was working for the bank, then I resigned 2011. Then I started a cleaning business. When I started a cleaning business, I didn't know anything about business. Actually, how I resigned was more about, I was in debt. So actually, that's why I'm passionate about personal finance. I was in debt. I remember my overdraft was double overdrawn. So that's where when the salary gets in, you are minus your salary, okay? And it was all around corporate. I was in corporate banking. I needed to fit in and all of that stuff. But yeah, so fast forward, then I resigned without a plan. I started a cleaning business. And so I think I'm good around marketing and all of that. So I marketed the business. It seemed like it was going well. I had a business partner. And 2013, I had an opportunity to go to Germany through the business. And then I met somebody there who wanted to invest about 2 million in the business, Chris. Chris wanted to invest in the business. He was just blown away the way I was talking about cleaning. And then, when I came back, my business partner had other ideas, and the business collapsed in that manner. Actually, when I talk about it, I say that I fell. When you are in a field, and there's a goalkeeper, and you dribble a goalkeeper, and then you go the other side, and all you have to do is score. So the ball went up, so that's exactly what happened, because, coming back with Chris, Germany, from a cleaning technology point of view, they are like 15, many years ahead. And he wanted to invest the money. He wanted to basically give me everything. We were gonna go after your service, your prestige. He said, we're not gonna play small, we're going big. I even changed my walk. I could feel that, you know, the millionaire status is coming very soon. You know, and then, so yeah, and then business partner came back and he said, look, I told her about the money. He said, I want a share of that money. You know, I said, but you can't get the money because you need to make a business plan. He said, no, you want to chow it by yourself. And then we fell off, okay? Then I was depressed. At the time, I was engaged. And then, yeah, that broke off and I went back home. So you can imagine going back home with absolutely nothing. And, you know, I say that it actually was a period that built as a person because you know, I had two options, whether to stay down or to come back up. So I then used that situation to really start empowering people. And, you know, I was looking for a job, I couldn't find anything. And funny enough, the only thing that I could find was to be a financial advisor. So then that's where actually the love of, you know, finances and all of that started. And I started coaching around it. And it was crazy because now you're coaching people and you are down, but you are coaching people about finances, you know. But then people, even today, they would phone and say, Gav, hey, you helped me. I'm like, that time it was bad, but I helped you, you know. So I think somebody who's going through that, what I can say that is that, look, it's still going to be rough. So it's going to be one of those things. What I can really share with you is that you have two options. So you have an option to stay down, or you have an option to do something about your situation. And the only way you can do something about your situation is that you need to be able to find what you're passionate about. Because when you're passionate about something, I don't care what's happening. When I went back home, I think 3 times, and still people would laugh at me to say, you are coaching for 100 Rand. I remember I used to charge 100 Rand to coach people. And I would drive to Rodiport. I remember one time, I still can't find that video. I don't know where it is. I was driving to Rodiport from Midrand. The lady had paid me 150. I was going to coach her on finances. And it was crazy. I'm like, but why are you doing this? Because this is actually your petrol, you know? But I didn't realize at the time I was planting a seed. You know, it was a seed that I was planting. And I just kept on saying, you know, that day I did a video. I said, one day you're going to look at this video. I was saying that, Gavin, you are looking at this video. And you remember this day when it was bad. But now look at you, you know, what this seed that you're planting, look what it has done, you know. So I'm not saying I'm in a far better position and all that, but, you know, I'm far better than I was at that particular time. And I look at the lives that, you know, in a sense, I'm impacting on, I'm touching on. And, you know, that gives me much more joy. And I see where I'm going. It's mind-blowing, you know. But it's all because of the seeds that I was planting. So make it practical, survive. Go, if there's one thing that you take away from this, take away that story, you know, to say, I need to survive. I need to do whatever it takes to survive. But I also need to build, you know, some value for myself. I need to upskill myself. I need to invest in myself. Go back to your business. Is your business still viable? Are people still needing your business? Look at what you can do. Collaborate. You know, ask for help. You know, get mentors, get coaching. A lot of these things we think they all of it requires money. It doesn't. It just requires your persistence. It requires you to take that step to say, I want to do this. I'm hungry for this, and people will be able to help you. You know, but if you're not thinking differently, you're going to die. You're going to be washed off the boat. You have to be crazy enough. If you do have a chance, they need to go to my page, and then I shared, or they can just check it on YouTube. There is an advert of a Porsche. It's Porsche. They call it a Porsche Carrera or something, you know, and it talks about courage. Mind-blowing to say that you need to be crazy, you know, to have courage. You need to be crazy to think that you can. I mean, imagine during a storm, and then you are looking at that the third group, and then they're busy holding on. They're fishing, but they can die anytime, but they're fishing. So that shows you that you have to think differently. You need to be able to say you are separated from the rest and run your race. Don't look at other people, what they're doing, because that's where now you start to fumble. Now, all of a sudden, you see Gavin posting sermons now, financial sermons. Now you're also doing financial sermons, you know. Maybe that is Gavin's, race, and that he's running his race. Do yours, and then you'll see that you'll start to advance accordingly.
Wow. Sir, I respect and I value your downfall choices, because I believe they had my saving mode in heart, even in nature. Because your story guides me every day to be protective of every cent that I have. That story, I read it about 4 or 5 years back, but it drove my financial discipline even to today.
Wow.
That I know how to value money. If it wasn't because of your choices that you took at that time, possibly I would have been financially worse than I am. So I respect your story very much. That's why even now I'm so emotionally dwelt into it, because day in and day out, I'm looking at the bank statements of our brothers and sisters, and I'm asking myself, is our economical destiny really safe with this appetite of spending? It's very bad. A wiser man once said that a black person will always stay poor until they understand that you can not only buy things through the media of money, but even relationship is a currency. Even faith, favor, it's a currency. If we change the mindset of how we access and buy certain things, that's only when we will start having the freedom that we want. Mkhabela, thank you very much. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for sharing and inviting us to your painful world. Now you're smiling. Now you've gained complex.
Now you're fresh. You're fresh. No. Hey, there wasn't shame.
Look, for that one coaching session, I'm going to request, can Jason reach out to you for that session?
Definitely.
Massive respect. Massive respect, sir. Thank you very much. I'll reach out to you in the next week. I'll be by your side for about 4 or 5 days just to cash out.
Sir. No problem.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy the rest of the evening, sir.
Thank you so much, bro.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Gavin Mkhabela for us. So that brings us to the end of episode 20 of 24 Online Entrepreneurial Survival Summit. Please remember, we still continue tomorrow. My name is Mutawun Tapelo, and until we meet, stay legendary. I'm out.